Welcome, everybody. My name is Rino Falvo from Rezgo. Today we have another special guest today, Phil Caines from OneUp. If this is your first time watching one of our industry expert interviews, the goal of these interviews are to help tour operators with tips and tricks and learning these things from different industry experts from around the world. So why don't I give the floor to my good friend, Phil Caines. Welcome.
Hey, thanks so much there, Reno. And just a little tidbit to everybody. I actually had a job with Reno many moons, decades ago. We
Decades.
we actually have a tour and activity story together. We used to work at Tourism Vancouver together many moons ago. So really good to chat with you again here, Reno. And yeah, looking forward to sharing a few tidbits and tactics on digital marketing for tour and activity providers today.
That's great. That's great. So before we get started, why don't we give a little bit of a background of your experience, Phil? Because I mean, like, I look at you, you know everything about marketing, so no pressure. But actually, why don't we give a little bit of a background story for the audience?
Yeah, sure. I do have a good old slide deck to go through that'll talk to some of my background, but in general, my background is absolutely in travel and tourism. As mentioned, Reno and I used to work together. So I've worked with DMOs, I've worked with travel technology companies, I've worked with consortium, whatever that plural is of consortiums, and worked directly with a number of DMOs, tour and travel operators. From an agency perspective. So we started one of digital marketing almost a decade ago now, and
Wow.
travel and tourism has been a main focus for us throughout the whole entire duration of our operations.
All right. Well, why don't we dive into it? We'll get you set up with your slide, and then we'll go from there.
We were started back a decade ago by two friends. You can see we're the two that are jumping the highest in this photo here. As you can tell, we're a very serious organization and take ourselves very seriously. But in all honesty, our core values are to care, to lead, and to have fun while we're doing it. And that's reflected in all of our work. We definitely care about our clients. We integrate with their team. We take a leadership role, so helping guide them to the right strategies. And we want to have everybody smiling at the end of the day. So we definitely try to have fun with our clients and with our team. Our team does fantastic work. We've just, been blessed to get a
Wow.
number of awards recently and have been having a great time while we're doing it.
Congratulations. That's amazing.
Yeah, thanks. Why should tour and activity providers worry about digital marketing and digital advertising in particular? Well, these last few years have been a bit of a roller coaster for everybody. We're coming back, baby. You can see this graph here is just a highlight. We're not quite at 2019 spending in the travel industry in regards to advertising, but hopefully if you're watching this video, you've noticed an increased trend. We've heard stories of our clients that are, beating 2019 numbers. Again, the appetite to get back out there and experience the world is, higher than ever. There was a lot of pent up demand, and I think that right now is a fantastic time to get back out there. And the reality is that the advertising landscape is competitive, so there's a lot of competition to get the eyeballs on different sites and different activities. I think it's on everybody's radar, and now is, if you're not doing it yet, now is a great time to start. What kind of topics are we going to be talking about in this presentation? Basically, audience identification. So understanding your audience better, and we talk about a couple tools to help you with that. Who are we trying to reach? What's the best way to reach them? So we're going to talk about specific channels and mediums, and I'll explain what that is all about as well. And then, what are some actual tactics on these different channels to make an impact? So we'll be giving a few hints and tips on a very high level, very approachable and accessible level for some different channels and, what everybody can employ on their own marketing. Let's speak a little bit about your audience here. So, who are we trying to reach? basically, what does your tribe look like? What makes your guest weird, really? What is unique to them? You need to really understand, what demographics and interests unite your specific visitor set. I don't know if you've heard of Destination Canada's Explorer Quotient. I'll send the link out to Reno to share with everybody, but it's a fantastic resource that's, paints a wonderful picture of the different explore quotient demographic types and psychographic types of different types of visitors. If you haven't seen this resource yet, it's absolutely fantastic and worth checking out. It will help you understand, the different mentalities of people that are going to be experiencing your services and your tours and activities. So absolutely check that one out. It'll help answer a lot of these different questions.
You're working with many different businesses, especially tour operators. Do you
Mhm.
find like the average tour operator, do they know their audience, or do you find that people don't quite know? Like where is the industry at?
Yeah, I think people know their audience generally, but I think they know it from a little bit more superficial than, it could be. I think there are different underlying motivations that help people make purchasing decisions and
Mm-hmm.
understanding the needs of your demographic. So again, sort of like what makes you weird, what makes your audience weird, and what would bring that together is a funny way of saying it, but getting a step beyond just like I provide X type of tour in this market, you need to resonate with them that basically speaks to what their underlying desire is to go and take a tour. And that helps you be a differentiator. It may not necessarily be for broad appeal, but to really speak to your core audience, it's really
Mm-hmm.
going to help to, scratch below the surface and answer some of these questions. So,
That's great.
beyond just the like, where are these people located and what are they interested in, you have to understand their motivations. And that's why I really recommend looking at those EQ profiles. So I'd say people do have a
Mm-hmm.
cursory understanding of their audiences for sure. They can answer a lot of the high level, what they look like and what they're interested in to some degree. But I think it's a great exercise to go through and definitely get below the surface to understand their motivations.
That's great. Thanks. I'll definitely share this with everyone. This is great. Thank you.
Realistically, after you do this exercise, you should have an audience profile, which again would be a summary of what that specific type of visitor is and how you uniquely resonate with that type of visitor. Realistically, once you have ideal understanding of your audience and who they are and what makes them unique, you have to ask the question of what's the best way to reach them. Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
I would be saying digital marketing, but
Yes.
the reality is that there's a lot of different ways to reach an audience, and we're not going to cover all of them today. We're going to focus on some what we call low hanging fruit, some introductory level stuff. Everyone's most likely familiar with this funnel on the right hand side here, which is the customer journey through to making a travel purchase decision. So it starts with the dreaming, where do we want to go? What kind of experience do we want to have? And
Mm-hmm.
then everyone knows the planning stage where, everyone can relate on the million tabs you have open on your computer, exploring different options and planning and looking for that deal or looking for that experience that really resonates most with what you're aligning to for your dreams. Then going through the actual booking process, and then actually going and experiencing. And I would put in a little caveat on experiencing. It's not an end there. Experiencing also means sharing and reviewing, and everybody loves to share travel content and make sure that their experience can be viewed by their friends and family, and they can really share how wonderful their travel and experience was. So
Mm-hmm.
that's experiencing goes beyond just being in the place. It also ideally would help to feed the top of the funnel by sharing. People will then gain awareness and it'll help plant dreams for other individuals. How this aligns to marketing, basically you would be wondering like what's the best place in this whole funnel to focus on in regards to long-term return on investment. People have limited availability and limited resources, where are we going to see the most long-term return on investment? And in my opinion, and in our experience, we usually focus on sort of an inverted funnel. So we kind of focus on taking care of the foundations and working backwards and building up. So we focus more on the booking and experiencing, sharing, reviewing stage, as we have a captive audience of people that are basically looking to bring out their wallets and making sure that that's a strong foundation. And then we grow to planning where we can, get more exposure. And then finally, dreaming is one that once the rest of the funnel is strong, we can expand and create more market awareness. Dreaming is something that is, I'd say, a little bit more resource heavy. Long-term ROI, it's a very solid investment, but takes a bit longer to actually show that return on investment. As you can imagine, people are at that point in time having a lot of different considerations, and you need to kind of cut through the noise and get an audience to basically go further down the funnel.
It's very interesting because like traditionally in any marketing you read, we all know about the funnel, right? And throw the net out and it just comes down. But what you're saying is, in terms of the investments within marketing, you want to build the foundation more closer to the bottom of the funnel, like around the bookings. That's where you're going to start seeing the ROI first, and then once that foundation is solid, then move up to the planning stage and start investing there. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
And that's like a way we often validate what we're doing to our clients in regards to, like, you know, we shift their perspective away from, marketing as a cost, and shift it to investment. So they're able to see, we're putting X in and we're getting 3X out. Let's put more X in, and then we're able to actually, justify growing their marketing budgets, and help fill their tours and activities, and have fewer empty seats or fuller tours, and the like. So yeah,
That's
it's
great.
definitely the most proven path to success in our experience.
Yeah, and you know what? I think that's a really big point that you said is changing the mentality as marketing being, just a cost and expense. It should be used more in the terms of an investment, right? That
Yeah,
is
and
very true.
yeah, and I mean, quite often there's a lot of people that have experience. They've, what I would say, side of desk dabbled with marketing, where they may have, had a chunk of funds, or got a grant or something, and they threw it at marketing and it didn't work, and therefore, that paints a picture of, like, well, we can just burn a bunch of money up on social media, and we have nothing to show for it. Well, we
Hmm.
take a much different tactic, and again, build it from a ROI first principle, and we wait until we have a strong foundation before we start ramping it up. And I did want to share, a little bit of a personal story. This is my son Evan here. You can see he's got a little something on his face there. This is from a recent trip we did down to Puerto Vallarta, and just talking about the funnel. We knew from a dreaming standpoint where we were going. We wanted to get away from the dreary winter. We wanted some sunshine, and as a family, Puerto Vallarta was really accessible. But once we got there, this is the question: what do you do once you get there? And we needed something that was family friendly, that spoke to chocoholic in particular here. And this really helped with our planning, and part of that whole process of transitioning from the dreaming to the planning to the booking, we were able to then book this online and align it with our schedule and get that done, and then experience the thing. And we then shared our pictures of where we went while we were there, and had other friends asking about it. So it kind of just is a good summary and personal anecdote of that funnel in process. And the chocolates were delicious, I
I
have
was
to say.
gonna say, was the chocolate good? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It was really fun. We could make all sorts of different shapes and put all sorts of toppings in, and the chocolate was so good, he licked the bowl out clean there. So
Oh, to be five again, eh?
yeah. So I this is a really good overview, and it's a lot of information to take in here, and I don't like to have this much info on a slide usually, but this is a really good way of breaking down the funnel and what it actually looks like in regards to tactics. So we were talking earlier about, like, where do you want to start your focus on the funnel, and what kind of tactics should you be using to help build that section of the funnel? So you can see, obviously, this correlates with that funnel, the top being awareness, inspiration slash dreaming, the planning, researching and refining, and then the booking slash purchasing, and then the recommending and reviewing. And I'll just quickly speak to these. You can imagine awareness is a broader audience that you're speaking to, basically. So a lot of rich media really helps in these spaces. So things like YouTube and TikTok and Instagram are really good to see these sort of dreams and inspiration type of marketing, as well. Longer tail, if you're a larger ticketed item, email campaigns really make sense when the purchase decision is long form, like people that are doing really high end guided tours for a larger period of time as opposed to like a day tour or something along those lines. Email would be really fantastic. Display campaigns, so anything rich media really works. Facebook and Twitter are good to help foster some of those things. And then once you get into the planning stage, how are you going to interact with people that are planning? So PPC is fantastic. Once people know that they want to go to a specific destination or do a specific type of tour or activity, you want to get in front of them at that point in time for sure. Again, starting from more of the middle of bottom of the funnel and
Mhm.
working your way up after, I'd say this would be in the low hanging fruit category. Organic search still plays a huge role in these types of queries. And there's a lot of tactics to get you to rank better organically. Remarketing, so if someone has worked with your web properties and has engaged with you, getting in front of them again. Some video campaigns and YouTube to help when people are doing comparisons, choosing one over the other type scenarios. This is where you really need to make your unique weirdness and unique attributes come alive and really differentiate yourself. Also, review sites are huge in this industry. Optimizing to get those reviews and to get them online is massive, and is a massive difference maker, and definitely affects your bottom line for sure. Same too with some comparison sites that are out there. For booking, actually getting them, with the wallet, pulling the credit card out, they know this is best for them, and you just need to push them over the edge. We want to still do some more PPC. There's RLSA is remarketing for search advertising. So that basically means if someone's engaged with you in the past, you want to ensure that you're showing up number one for them.
Mhm.
Further to that, remarketing, which is sort of more visual, as well as organic. So when people are typing in your brand, you need to be popping up basically. And then lastly, we want to feed the top of the funnel here. So all platforms that are accepting bookings, and I know Rezgo does a great job of this, you need to be following up with email, and you need to be strategic with how you engage on emails. Was it a fantastic tour? Were you doing whale watching and there was whales jumping everywhere and people were just blown away? That is a ripe opportunity to gain amazing reviews and to gain some additional rich media to feed your own social profiles. There should be tactics for different scenarios where you can re-engage with your audience and have a positive outcome for them as well as yourself. You should be providing value, providing convenience if they were wanting to share a review. There's a lot of tactics to really help foster all of that circular funnel and refeeding the top of the funnel.
Yeah, you made a great point there. Is like, there's some great resources within Rezgo that can help you with this more of the repurpose remarketing sections, because obviously, there's things that you can do is, following up with your customers. You can create notifications to put in reviews. We've got submission reviews. We've got all these choices. So all these resources are included with your Rezgo
Exactly.
account. So if you're unfamiliar with these different settings, they're very easy. You can also reach out to our customer support team and we can give you a hand with that. Now, one question I wanted to ask you, Phil, and this is more of your opinion. So obviously, social media is massive. So things like YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, like the whole nine yards. Do you
Mhm.
find that sometimes people might be, when they think about some marketing spend, that they're investing too much money into, let's say, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, social media posts instead of focusing on that more bottom funnel? Or like, do you feel like people are getting caught up in that? What are you thinking in terms of the world today, especially with tour
Yeah,
operators?
No, I think that's a really good question, and I think in our experience, there's a lot of operators that view social media, and they almost think that social media is digital marketing, like
Hmm.
that is everything that you can do in digital marketing. And
Hmm.
I think if it's not well focused, it can be a very taxing, endeavor to maintain all of these channels. It's one thing to post content on channels, but realistically, that has very little value to an organization. You need to be driving engagement and, resonating and getting people sharing and liking and commenting. And to do that effectively is quite an undertaking, especially with the advent of like new channels that you need to understand how to leverage correctly.
Hmm.
You can't have a one approach works across all channels strategy anymore. I think that's a really good point. It depends on the resources of the company, but quite often we see small, medium operators extending themselves into social media, not necessarily getting, the engagement and traction that they would like, but not really knowing how to do it better. And then also neglecting what we call low hanging fruit, kind of like that middle of the funnel,
Hmm.
and not reaping the rewards of a more well-rounded digital marketing strategy. If you're not generating revenue from your social activities, and you're currently not doing organic search and paid advertising, then you may want to shift your focus and build a solid foundation to grow off of, and worry about that first, because again, that's gonna affect your bottom line. So what are some actual tactics to make an impact? I want to talk about paid advertising a little bit. Realistically, at this point in time, you have to have it. I mean, I showed that competition is coming back in the space. That was one of my early slides, but everyone is doing it, and all of the channels now are basically making it so that you almost need to pay to play. Google, you can see their search results are getting pushed down on the organic side, and the paid is getting more and more prominence. If you're not there, you're missing out on a massive amount of traffic realistically. And the thing that's beautiful about paid is that you can engage in that center of the conversion funnel. So when people are planning and when people are booking, it is perfectly aligned with intent. Whereas, social, you're kind of inspiring people when they're doom scrolling through their phones, and you have a brief instance of, potential inspiration. They may not necessarily be looking for travel inspiration at that point in time. So it's a bit more like a luck of the draw. Whereas paid advertising, there's a lot better alignment of intention with what they're actually looking for. So you're speaking to the right people realistically, and that's where you're able to get the return on investment. Start with that low hanging fruit around the lower points in the funnel, just what I was speaking to. You have to own your activity and location related keywords. What does that mean? That means bike tour in San Francisco, whale watching tour in Victoria. What basic kind of, if you could boil it down, you want to ensure that you're owning those types of key terms, and that you're showing up when people have express purchase intent. So when they're a little bit past kicking the tires, and they're like, I know this is, I've heard I want to do this in this location, you need to be showing up then. Again, that's really high value. Striking while it's hot. Again, imagine you've had someone that's engaged with your website, and they have expressed through their actions that they're a high probability of converting. They're kicking tires at this point in time. This is where you want to re-engage with them. I won't say aggressively, but enough so that you're top of the consideration pile. So re-engaging with remarketing, getting, your brand, your unique attributes into the forefront, taking a bit of a different tact from, earlier in the conversion funnel, re-engaging and maybe sharing some secondary value propositions to really differentiate yourself, and get them across the purchase line to where they're actually pulling out their cards and booking online. Also, another good call to action is getting them into that email marketing funnel, and offering a potential incentive. I know incentives can be problematic at times, but there are some good ones that are ensuring that you're not cannibalizing your existing clients or lowering your margins, and actually getting people to go past the line and purchase. And those can be tailored to certain events or certain types of promotions. And I know Rezgo helps with promotions and coupon codes and all that great stuff as well. So there's a whole bunch of things you can experiment with to push them across the line there. So some of the platforms that would be good from an ROI standpoint would be Google Ads, Meta, and Bing. And these all have great targeting capabilities, again, so we can better align with the unique attributes of your audience, both from an interest as well as what their search behavior is. And we can, again, re-engage with them after they've worked on your website and done some research. So these are great starter pack if you're looking to get into this channel.
Yeah, you know what? I'm glad you brought up this because it kind of picks up from my last question. Is that like, instead of just throwing your money out to all these different social media platforms where it's like you don't know if it's gonna stick, and those ones are so general, like these platforms that you're talking about, like Google Ads, you can really target your audience instead of, going to the customers that fit your market kind of thing, right? Like that's your goal is you want to increase your chances and also have a better ROI.
Yeah, absolutely. That brings me to SEO, or search engine optimization. So this is basically, again, a tactic that we showed was sort of in the middle of the funnel. This one is still very important. Again, you're working at getting your brand out there. People are going to be doing a lot of branded searches, and you really need to own this space and do a fantastic job of it. They are going to be searching you by brand name. They're going to be looking for reviews. They're going to be looking for directions. They're going to be looking for all sorts of things that you need to be, well represented. So yeah, starting with the low hanging fruit from SEO, you absolutely need to own your branded searches. Most people are searching in Google, secondary in Bing. You need to have your business profile being present. So when people are searching your brand name, you need to see that whole sidebar open up with all your information, your reviews, all your contact information. It needs to be working. It's a must on both Google and Bing. Align your offerings with geo-specific keywords. So if you're in a particular market or if you serve multiple markets, you need to be thinking about geo content across your site for the main markets that you're looking for. This again is going to help you populate for paddling tour in Missouri or whatever it may be. In regards to creating a content plan, this is something that requires a bit of research in regards to trends and how people are going to be able to find you online. So you're going to want to identify areas that you want to expand into. And it does take a little bit of research. And it's definitely something that's worth investing in regards to having that content plan. And there's something called keyword research where you're able to understand what type of search queries people are using to find related questions. And this can help a lot with some of the upper funnel questions, like what are the top 10 things to do in a given city or market? People are looking and discovering, I'm going here, I want to know about things to do. You could be an expert on talking about the other great things to do in that specific city where your tour or activity happens to be one of the featured options there. And, there's a great click to book now button right on the blog post or something to that effect. But those type of content pieces really help gain prominence, and you need a strategy behind that so that you know where to focus your attention and where the opportunities are to get more traffic to your site. Part of that strategy is about building a content pillar. I don't want to get too complicated with this, but a content pillar is basically a really authoritative content piece that's usually a bit longer, that speaks to a very specific topic. And once you have that, the search engines love you, basically. People are going to be linking to you. You're going to have authority in that space, and people will be able to, leverage that resource and gain a lot of value from it. And that's really what you want to have happen. And again, this is going to be getting them into your website. Your paid marketing can re-engage with them and talk about specific tours. This is starting to build a bit of a marketing machine here, which is really, really fantastic. Another opportunity is to optimize for featured snippets. And again, I feel like I'm dabbling a little bit with the technical side here, but I'm sure everyone's familiar with when you're in Google and you're asking a question on Google, and there's these basically pop-ups and questions that show up ahead of organic listings, and you can see answers right on Google's page. Well, these are featured snippets, and these are very powerful for getting a lot of traffic to your website. And we've helped a lot of our clients get featured in those snippets so that, they're actually leapfrogging other listings in the organic space and getting more traffic as a result. So it's a really great strategy for getting more traffic directly to your site. Part of SEO is getting more people linking through to your site. And so you got to know how you're getting links. There's all sorts of different tactics to be creative, and they will come. We've done all sorts of fun things with our clients in regards to like contests. We've had scholarships where students would be talking about different things and submitting resumes, and we'd get links from all sorts of universities and from newspapers. And there's all sorts of different tactics you can use to get links to your website, but that's still really an important way to grow your website organically, is how many people are linking through to your site. Basically, be creative and they will come. You do need to take care of the details. This means all of the technical, like code side of your website needs to be very strong so that it's not causing issues from the search engine's perspective to actually understand your website and what you're doing there. Yeah, I think that's a very good high level kind of low hanging fruit for SEO. Does that make sense to you there, Rena?
Yeah, this is great. And like you said, this is the idea of this one here is kind of like doing a high level, touching points on different areas. Like, for example, focusing on things like the funnel, but the actual learning about the foundation and focus on the foundation first. Also, where should you put your money when it comes into investing into digital marketing? Like, it's not just about social media and just putting money on Instagram and such like that. There's more to it. Focusing on more like the targeted stuff, which is great. And then, kind of capping things off with, SEO and the importance of it, because there's a lot of things out there. And sometimes I know marketing can get a little overwhelming for our small and medium sized businesses. If they have a marketing manager, great, but they might not. So they might be new to this. So I think, you're touching on multiple points here. And I think this is some great information. I have a couple questions for you. I want to follow up. In this day and age, is there kind of like, how much you should spend and how much you should invest? I know it's very subjective because it really depends on your business and how large and how strong your business is at that stage from a marketing side. But is there like a general rule? Like, it's kind of like saving 10% of your wages for retirement. Is there something like that?
That's a great question. It is a good question. And it really does come down to, market potential, I think is the universal kind of consideration. So how many can you sell and how many are you currently selling basically are big questions. Like how big of an audience do you have? And if you have a tour or activity that has, limitless potential for, walk through traffic, well, then your budget should really reflect that. And then you just have to basically, again, our tactic is to start, we do a bit of a market assessment to really understand capacity and market potential. And then we'll have like a starting budget that takes those two things into consideration. And again, we try to, prove ourselves before we grow, but we really like working with our clients to really understand that if we're getting a multiplier in regards to the return on investment, that your budget should realistically be keep spending as long as we're getting a multiple return and we have capacity to, take more. Stop spending if, we're at capacity and our tours are completely overbooked and we, can't bring any more people in. So that's a great problem to have. And we strive to get our clients closer to that point, basically. So the next tactic I was just going to touch on here is social media. So we spoke about that a little bit earlier in regards to value of social media. You can't deny the prevalence of social media, and it is a valuable tool. I would say you need to make social media work for you. A way to do that is create a fun machine. Realistically, you want to leverage your marketing capacity with your actual visitors, and you need to funnel that and channel that to ensure that it is working for you. Especially the smaller organizations, small to medium, tour operators don't have a lot of capacity and are kind of stretched like, oh, I need to do this and post on all those channels. Well, people that are on your tours are already on the channels that your other potential audience is on. This is your demographic, and they're speaking to people that are similar to them. So you need to create a fun machine. You need to find a way to engage your guests to be your marketers. Is there a branded photo op backdrop? Have you put in a mural? Do you have like a cutout even with like, your face where everyone can get together? Is there like a banner you can have everyone holding at a fun point in time that has, a hashtag and the brand and everyone wants to get behind? Is there a funny hat people can wear at the end of the day and have fun with it? Do you have something? Are you funneling? Are you channeling, the opportunity here while you're on your tour? Can you do a photo scavenger hunt? Is there something that you can do where they're hashtagging and there's going to be every month you're going to give everybody with the best photo a autographed shirt or whatever it is? Just have fun with it and challenge and plant seeds that will basically have people sharing content on your behalf. You need to engage them. You need to stoke these fires. Contests are a fantastic way to get this going as well. Again, you have limited capacity. What are things you can do that are going to create the most external engagement and lift the most burden off your shoulders? This is a great way to start. The other side of this is your staff need to be empowered. Let your tour guides have their phones. Let them, post content that's weird and unique. Let them have a personality. Let them have a say. They are a reflection of your brand. They are a big part of your experience. You need to empower them, have some high level guidelines. Don't be too serious with it, but share basically the front row seat of what it's like to be with that person. People want to have characters that they're engaging with and have stories to share about the people that they experienced on their travels. What better way than showcasing the people that are on your tours and letting them have a voice? Loosen those reins. It's not too serious. There's a billion social media profiles out there. If you can't let people be themselves, then you probably need to rethink who you're hiring because they are the experience. Your people are the experience. So those are a couple social media considerations. And then I'm just going to quickly talk about conversion rate optimization. This is a really little known tactic that is a big difference maker from your bottom line. Basically, it's running experiments on your website, moving pictures and copy and calls to action and colors around and testing different things and having basically a scientific approach to understanding, what works best on your website. So, what changes on your site will affect behavior, basically meaning bookings. How many more bookings can this change make? You need to have a change is constant perspective, meaning have about 2 or 3 experiments running at all times. So you're constantly iterating and they should be testing key hypotheses. So, a question could be like, I bet if we change this color to red instead of blue, it's going to get more attention, but I'm not sure about it. Don't rely on your gumption or your gut feeling. Use science to actually answer those questions, and you can run those experiments, A/B testing, and it'll actually say, like you got way more bookings with red than blue. That's the right choice, not just like, oh, I feel like this is going to be better. Get away from the feelings and use science to your advantage here. Just like I said, use data to make your new decisions, new colors, new photos, new copy. Answer all of those. Are they going to actually help the bottom line? And use conversion rate optimization to answer those questions. In summary, I know I've been throwing a lot of information here, but in summary, basically, in considerations of who you're trying to reach, take time to analyze your customer data and know them better. Find additional resources to help understand that market. So the EQ resources is a really good one to look at. And then understand the best way to reach them, narrowing those channels down based on the, core of the funnel first. And then understand which tactics of the ones I highlighted will basically have the biggest impact, and start with that low-hanging fruit, and then that will have the fastest benefit to your bottom line. And wanted to end with a little family photo there as well on our most recent vacation.
I love it. Beautiful family. Such a great photo. That is awesome.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Thanks, Rino.
that's no problem. Thank you so much. Well, this was really good. And like I really appreciate you coming on board because we're all about doing these industry expert interviews because you have so much knowledge, and I know there's a lot of people, especially at Rezgo, that could benefit from this information. Now, where can people reach you? Because, like, I know we have a lot of partners of ours that they might not have a marketing manager or anything like that. Is there a place that people could reach you, maybe to hire you as a consultant, and maybe get some guidance in terms of figuring things out for their specific business?
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, feel free to write a note at oneupdigitalmarketing.com. Our contact form is available there, and we definitely love Rezgo customers. And I was saying to Reno, we'd be happy to offer a 10% discount off of their initial consultation, and be happy to extend that to any Rezgo member. So if you're writing in, be sure to mention Rezgo, and we'd be happy to help out.
Oh, thank you so much, Phil. That's very generous. And anybody's watching, like, feel free to watch this video again. There's actually a lot of tips that Phil's covering around this, but there's also things from within your Rezgo account that you guys can implement if you haven't done anything, like, for example, if you're trying to repurpose marketing, if you're trying to get, notifications, if you're trying to set up reviews, things like this. There's a lot of functions within your Rezgo account that you might not even be using yet. So well, Phil, thank you so much for this interview. We really appreciate it, and we look forward to having you on the next one.
Awesome. It's been a pleasure, Reno. Take
All
care.
right, thanks. Take care.